Set, yes. Yeah, I figured. Especially if a lot of people don't know the setting string off the top of their head. Right, I assume that's what came up pretty often, is people might not have, like, the exact setting string. If I recall, at least early on. Also, this is run number 68 of Minish Cap any percent. We're almost there. Yeah, my average beginning is pretty good. Better not reset. I was saying in random stream last night that the true God run is the 69th completed run out of 420 runs. And my mashing is off rhythm for rolls. That was also bad mashing. I was mashing a roll on Zelda's dialogue. Oops. Only minutes and seconds with the high true. If I stream on main tomorrow, I might do a blitz seed or something after. I don't know. I have my N64 on the desk also. It just takes a little bit of moving cables. But it wouldn't be hard to do. Also, I didn't really get a Paper Mario 3D Land. I think it's a ROM hack of Super Mario 3D Land for 3DS. I know I've seen it on marathon schedules before, but I've never actually watched it. I think it's a like 2D version of 3D Land or something. I don't know why they say Paper Mario. I think it's just like a 2D game in the 3D Land engine. What was I gonna say? Oh, for Saturday, I assume people are interested in not Paper Mario. I mean, I'm sure that too. No, Grandpa. Mario Party. Superstars. Guard, get out of my way. Oh, I didn't even lose that much time. It would be like Mario Party Superstars with subs or something. I'll probably add all the subs in Discord and be like, give me your friend code so I can add you beforehand if you want to play. Because I don't want to have to add people on stream necessarily. Dude, Link. Oh, I didn't look at my time when I entered the cutscene. It was probably like a 7:01 or 2 or something. I will also need to make sure my Switch is wired, just for like my own sanity. I have everything I need for that. So that shouldn't be an issue. I just saw I peaked a little bit. I might need to adjust my microphone settings, but that's fine. It's generally been pretty good. No, Link, what are you doing? Up the ladder. Is it a 3D world hack and not a 3D land hack? I thought it was 3D land, specifically. 3DS. Okay, this is gonna be a 10-14? Close enough. Link, push the thing, please. Got bored watching the trailer. I mean, if it's like a 2D platformer, I can understand. Trailer, not really. Grabbing interest. Get me away from the puff stool, please. Thank you. Sounds very weird, Axel. I'm sure it would be very good clickbait for my YouTube channel. But I don't know if I personally would want to play it. Oh, that's kind of weird. Like, interesting but weird for what seems like it was probably supposed to be just a platformer. I don't know. May watch the run to see more of it, but probably not the whole thing. Yeah, that's fair. If I remember, I will probably do the same. Oh, it's early in the morning? Yeah, probably not. I've been going to bed probably around like 2 a.m. Yeah, probably around 2 a.m. is when I've been like falling asleep maybe. That was a pretty good Deepwood Shrine, honestly. Other than, I mean, pestos are pestos. It happens. There were a couple bad ones. Oh yeah, and it's Joey doing Splatoon. Joey's pretty good at that game. It's also a pretty neat run. Yeah, that's Joey. King J is Joey. I commentated his Splatoon 1 run at Glitch Infinite, I guess. Ricky, I don't care. Okay, he's going away. Did they have World 4 skip back then, Axel? Because they skip an entire world in any percent. Something like that, probably. don't know why I'm mashing so much. I don't need to mash on this one very hard. Until this part. ...2014 or 2015 sounds right. Nice guard skip. And the roll lift. That's crazy. This Intercave of Flames is on a gold pace. Because imagine getting guard skip and a roll lift. It's crazy. My average Intercave of Flames is 30 minutes in. That's dumb. And kind of slow. Ow. Although my average for this split is an 1141, so... when my gold is an 1120. Krenel B, Krenel. Really? I'm surprised. Those are really bad rolls. To be fair, I can only tell those rolls were bad because I got one roll less than I usually would. Because I count rolls in that room. For spacing. My roll mashes are not great. I wonder if that's snapback. Because I'm going from... No bombs. Oh well. Yes, let me read this sign. Ow. I should be fine. 2 3/4 hearts means I'm almost guaranteed not to die here. Ow. 2 1/4 hearts means I'm probably not gonna die here. Yeah, I'm high up enough that I'm fine. Wow. Thank you, boulders. Very kind. Amazing. All right, Axel. Ronyo saw my message? Okay. I did at him, so I assume he would have seen this sooner rather than later. Analog stick. Ow. Oh, Link. I looked at my timer. I don't think that would have golded anyway, but it was pretty close. I'm letting go too early. Oh my god, ball mob. Alright, that's fine. Not great, but it's fine. If my biggest mistake in Cave of Flames is the Helmatar fight, I'm not too upset. Okay, that was pretty good. On the Bullipedes. Whatever they're called. I forget what they're called. For some reason. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty average time. That's fine. And by average, I mean like acceptably average. Okay. Falling rocks. Yo, Murphy. Yo. That's pretty hype. I still haven't seen that movie myself, but I do want to. Well, I mean like the Japanese version, unless the Japanese version also isn't out yet. Because I didn't see the last one either. Or the last, like, couple. Simultaneous is pretty cool, considering it's usually not the case for that series. Like, not even close. Okay, rock beetle. Oh, nice. Ow. Moblin. Okay, I'm probably gonna get a fairy from a tree. Yeah, Try was the last big thing that I watched, I think. Well, no. I haven't finished the Adventure remake. I got, like, really far, but it's hard for me to sit in one place and watch something like that. The remake was really good, from what I'd watched. I just never finished it. I might go back and do that at some point. Oh, okay. Nice slots. I think I have that image in Discord somewhere. I have a few from that movie, that particular Try movie. Yeah, I'm definitely bonking a tree for a fairy. Thank you, Octorok. Only 4 years away. Oh my god. Yeah, I need to watch Kizuna. Okay, go right down up to... Right down A up to B. Damn. Time and math. The real question is, where does Cross Wars fit in? Because of the ending. Yeah, but where do the characters themselves? Yeah, it's Shoutmon is the main one for the first 2 seasons. I wouldn't say he was the main for the 3rd season, although he still kind of was. No, it wasn't bad. I don't think I ever watched even a single episode of Appon. been meaning to watch Ghost Game, though. But I wanted to finish the Adventure remake first, and I just haven't done that. Endlessly suffering old man. Hey, I'm grabbing a fairy. Well, 15 out of 16 times that's a fairy. Alright, don't take damage. Oh, thank God. Bless Moldozers. Really? Yo, painful plays. You caught me in the middle of RNG minute bang. How free is that manip? It's frame perfect. For the 4th Kinstone, at least. P-hat, please. The dust clouds look good. Okay. This run can no longer PB. P-hat, get off the fucking bridge. Cool. Yep, I lost a minute to to the P-hat. Sick. Oh my god. I mean, it's no one's fault. That P-hat manip is stupid. Sometimes the P-hat just isn't there, and I have no idea why. Probably because I'm like a frame off on something. Not like it matters for Marathon, but it's just really annoying for like a PB attempt. Like, I lost a solid minute to that. And I have to play like perfectly now to get a 39. It would be cool to get a 39, but it's not gonna happen. I would need to play perfectly and match my body fight golds, which is... Imagine matching body golds ever. Without manipping body. Technically, I'm still not done moving. Oh, nice bell. Just because I don't have all my stuff. I'm waiting on the movers to actually bring me my things. Which is annoying. But we're basically there, kind of. Apparently, for some people, it takes almost 3 to 4 weeks for movers to bring your things across, like, 2 states. And they have that built into their contracts, that they have an entire month. Like, they have 30 days from the first deliverable day to get your stuff to you. Nice goal on Fortress wins, though. Yeah, a month is a pretty egregious amount of time for the distance that they're going. If it does take that long. True bot, true. Yeah, no, that's 100% it is. It also just costs a lot of money to do. But my house should be up on the market by the end of the week. And I don't see it staying on the market for very long. No, maybe. I don't have my computer or my furniture at all. Those are the things I'm missing. That and, like, my box is full of other stuff. That's pretty good Mazzal RNG. Jesus. Road trip back for the computer. I mean, the thing is, like, a lot of it would have been easier if I could drive, but since I can't, then there's not a whole lot of options I have. I'm also only going to be at this place for probably a few months, so at most. I'm going to be moving again, but at least it'll still be in the same area. I don't know why I picked up that grass. That was just a mistake. Building stuff in Fortress by like 3 seconds is pretty good. Oh my god. Roll. In the direction I want you to, not the direction the stick is telling you to go, Link. Do I not save here? I mean, the correct answer would be no. But... Okay, we got second state OG, that's fine. Didn't walk through the door, that's really all that matters. Something like that. Okay. Oh, really, Axel? I didn't know that. I'm done, Link. Link. True. It is a nice detail. Okay. What am I doing? Please. With a minute lost in Castor Wilds, basically, this is still, like, really close to PB pace. But no matter how well I play, It's still gonna come down to body. As long as I play really well for the rest of the game, and body is good, this will probably PB. But the and body is good part does matter. I can't have bad body fights. Because I'm probably going to lose time on a lot of splits. Not much, but like a little bit. Especially here in droplets. And probably in Palace of Winds. How did I gold that? That was really bad. Wait, I golded that by almost 5 seconds? I don't believe that. That seems wrong. Whatever. One of those kind of golds, I guess. We're just like, man, I played really bad, but I guess I played worse before. Good RNG. Let's go. Okay, not bad. Although I did get Octomanip in PB. Okay. No free time save. If anything, it's a free invitation for time loss. Come on, give me a do-nothing pattern. Okay. It's fine. Not a do-nothing pattern, but it's fine. It was an easy pattern to recognize. It wasn't the one-roll pattern, that's what matters. Or a two-roll pattern. Okay. Good droplets. I goldied Inner Palace? How did I gold Inner Palace? Ridiculous. This split is so nothing. Well, time loss. Oh well. Okay, press B. Okay. Okay. Not bad. Link. Dude, Stalfos. That sucks. I should have reacted to him just walking into my clones. That sucks. Link. Please throw your boomerang. Oh my god. Link. These wizards were a little rude. Whatever. I didn't mean to shoot the arrow. It doesn't matter. I have to wait for this now, because I fell back in the hole. Oh my god. Thank. Okay, I tried to do something stupid. Yeah, dumb. Lots of dumb time lost in Palace wins. I don't think it is, Axel. But I would understand why you would think so. That is a video game that exists for the PS2, I guess. I should play it sometime. That's okay. I don't think I will. I've seen it enough. I've seen enough of it to know. You don't have a PS2. My PS2 is actually in one of my boxes. It is not one of the consoles that I packed in my suitcases. The PS2 has a lot of really good games, but then again, they also got remade on PS3. Remastered, rather. For the most part. Uncharted 3? I played the entire Sly trilogy and Jak and Daxter games on PS3. I played the Ratchet and Clank games on PS2, though. Yeah, we have a lot of PB room here. It's gonna depend a lot on the body fights. Oh, like, basically entirely on the body fights. But, I mean, that's how it is. Right? Like, I mean, I have a little bit of time save on inner body. That's not minuscule. I have a lot on body 2, and I have a lot on body 3. Basically nothing on body 1, but body 1 is mostly pretty consistent. Like, it doesn't fluctuate as much as the other ones. And Dark Nuts, if I hit the manip, then it would be pretty decent odds of golding that. Really again? I think I'm lining up the wrong line. That's fine. Alright, Moblin, you gonna behave this time? Let's go! Moblin! Bro. Alright. I need to play DHC pretty well at this point, because I got a fast stair clip. That was a dumb roll. That's fine. Street puzzle. Yeah, pretty much. Same thing. Ah. Okay, that's fine. Needs more dabbing. Yo, Minish Cap dab patch. Skip. Only one more OG to go. Okay. Ah, that sucks. Not bad. Hello? You guys gonna... Enough. I will still take this for 2 hearts. Good enough. All right. Let's go for it. Got caught on the corner. Fine. Dude. Good enough. I got the Black Knight to dash. That's all that really mattered to me. Black Knight got out of the way. Time to fight Body for real. Bro. Okay, Body, calm your fucking ass down. So I was saying that Body 1 is typically pretty okay. That's fine. Dude, how did you miss the tile, Link? Okay, fine. Stop moving, please. Please, Body. Please stop moving so much. Jesus Christ, man. Okay, okay. Listen, body, you need to stop what you're doing and let me hit you. Okay. Okay. It's no longer 139 pace because of body 2 and body 1, but whatever. I just need a good body 3. I also remember I lost a minute to P-Hat clip, to not getting P-Hat manip quickly. Like, this run lost a minute in P-Hat. It's a caster. Oh, fuck it. Whatever. Don't care. I still have a fairy backup. Not that I will likely need it, but I have it. Come on, buddy. Not that arm, man. Why are you like this? Come on. I have a fairy, so it's not like it's a huge deal. But man, body. Dude, hit the eye. Thank you. What? Okay. I kind of call bullshit on that one. I disagree. Game. Whatever. I might have been a second off. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Oh. We take that. It was a bad body 3, but we take that. Thank you for the GGs, Star, Black Tiger, Murby. This run lost a minute in Caster Wilds. And another minute to body. Yeah, technically it was. It doesn't change anything on the leaderboard, but it is a PB. Oh. Let me get to credits first. I actually golded Dark Hyrule Castle completely. I technically golded Georg, I guess. My Palace of Winds was terrible, though. So Palace of Winds P-hat clip. I had an extra reset also for a quad manip, but that's whatever. Cave of Flames, I lost 12 seconds. I'm trying to think of what to. It was just like a bunch of little things adding up. Same with like, early game is always just a bunch of little things that add up. And then you go to caster and die. Whatever. I guess I'll submit this run. Might as well have it on the leaderboard. Even if it's not like... Even if it doesn't change anything. 137.19 sum of best. Yeah, so the big things were just like, the body is always going to be big unless I get lucky. Georg. What did I miss on Georg? Was it just some slow cycles? It was a slow last cycle. Yeah, that's fine. I think there was some. I'd have to look at it. It's kind of weird to be losing 18 seconds on Georg. But Georg is a weird fight. Droplets is... This is just droplets, that's just how it is. It's too consistent. Ocarina... Inner droplets was also pretty good. Fortress was good. Fortress was really good. It's that P-hat manip just killed it. Because I had to reset 3 extra times across all the manips. Oh well. Nothing I can do about it now. That's still a good run. Could I raid someone from the bot account? Because I'm definitely done for the day. I wasn't intending on going very long. Because this is definitely just a test stream. Plus getting practice out. Is there anyone live? I mean, I'm sure there is. Where's Twitch? Do we raid JCog? I think we just raid JCog, right? Makes sense. So why did I close that tab? Alright. I mean, I will be back tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be streaming on this account or main. I might do main tomorrow, because I might just do, like, another couple Minish Cap runs, and then, let's say, like a Paper Mario Rando or something. We'll see. I don't have very good clearance for my arm to go here. Let's raid JCog. JCog is doing Paper Mario Rando. So, I should hopefully see you all tomorrow. My marathon run is on Thursday. If you don't have that... Oh, I can't post bot commands because I'm logged into the bot account. Cringe. Anyway. Oh well. Go watch JCog. And I'll be streaming tomorrow and have marathon Thursday, and then I'll be streaming Saturday for birthday stream. Goodbye, everyone. Just say, like, I don't know, the bot got a PB or something. Who knows? Goodbye.